Since I retired at 51, something surprised me. I realized I was burned out on a lot of people I've known for years, both personally and professionally. Not because they're bad people, but because I no longer feel joy being around them. And that realization really caught me off guard. If you're retired, close to retiring, or even just thinking about it, this might be a part of the journey that no one really talks about. This video isn't about cutting people off. It's not about becoming antisocial. And it's not about thinking I'm better than anyone. It's about something much quieter and honestly, a little uncomfortable. When I retired, I expected changes in my schedule, my identity, maybe even my sense of purpose. What I didn't expect was how differently some relationships would feel. And the hardest part wasn't noticing the change, it was the guilt that came with it. For most of my life, a lot of my relationships existed because of obligation. Coworkers, professional contacts, all of my LinkedIn friends, people I saw regularly because my life was structured to require it. Retirement really moved in quietly and removed that structure that required me to interact with those people. And I stopped asking myself, how do I get along here? And I started asking myself, do I actually enjoy this? And that's a big difference between being a working person and being retired is 100% of your life is, am I doing things that I enjoy? Am I doing things that fill my cup? Am I spending time with this person because they fit a time schedule, or am I hanging out with this person because they really fill my cup? And that becomes a question that we take for granted when we're working. But once you stop working, you're gonna stop taking that for granted. I guarantee it. And once that question showed up, I couldn't unhear it. Every 20 seconds had me peeping out my window. No, I'm just kidding. Just couldn't ignore it. You hear it, you can't unhear it, you can't ignore it. And that's when I realized how many of my relationships were really built on proximity, not connection. This isn't just about retirement. And if you're a Gen Xer out there, let me know because you'll be able to understand or you'll feel my pain or you'll understand the struggle. I think age has something to do with it too. I think age plays a significant role. By my 50s, I had already done a lot of proving. I had finished my career. I was done with responsibilities, expectations, all things that I had just done over time. And I was just there. I had done all those things. And I had just got to the point in my life where I just wasn't trying to impress anybody anymore. At this stage of my life, I don't really care what people think. I mean, sure, it's important to me that the content on this YouTube channel resonates with you in a way that helps motivate you, but at the end of the day, if you don't like my bazooka t-shirt, then you don't like my bazooka t-shirt. Y'all think it's bougie. I'm like, it's fine, but I'm trying to give you $1 million for the game for not even $9.99. What I found that I wanted was I just wanted calm and I wanted ease. And that's what I look at now is I ask myself the question when I'm going to go spend time with somebody, is this person worth me putting jeans on for? Because if not, it's either going to be sweats or shorts. And I really looked forward to and enjoy the conversations that don't drain me. Ultimately, what I think it was is that my tolerance just dropped. Not because I became bitter, but just because I became clear. I could see clearly now the bullshit is gone. I wasn't in a place where I was trying to collect people anymore. And at this stage of the game, I'm just trying to protect my energy. Here's something that surprised me. Burnout didn't fully hit me during my career. It actually showed up after I retired. Once all the noise stopped, once all the deadlines were gone, my system finally had room to say, I'm tired. Almost got to the point where I had to have the capacity to tell myself that I'm tired. And not just tired of work, tired of managing conversations, tired of managing expectations, tired of managing all those emotional dynamics. And I tell you that retirement didn't create the burnout. It just gave permission for that burnout to surface. And when you're tired, even good people could feel heavy. I have friends of mine that are really good people, but they're really heavy. So I have to make sure that I manage my boundaries around how I manage that because I can't fault somebody for being themselves. And if they're being themselves and it doesn't work for me, then it's my job to manage the situation in such a way that I feel okay. And that's the whole idea. And I know there's some psychological types out there that have an opinion on it, but I think that's the whole idea with boundaries. I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm going to allow you to drain all of my energy. Another thing I noticed was how much my identity had changed. Some people only knew me the way that I was when I was working, as the person that was busy, as the person that was always responsible, or being that guy with a role, the important role, the chief HR guy, or Sabado, the HR guy that can answer questions, or the guy that if you have a problem with your own company, you could call me up and I can help you being involved and moving and shaking. And when that version of me faded, some of those connections, they naturally weaken. I had people that colleagues from work that I was cool with, but at the end of the day, what are you going to really talk about? What are you going to spend time on? Because it's no longer about what was going on in the office or any of those dynamics. Now I'm talking about the good life. Welcome to the good life. Not because anybody did anything wrong, but because the relationships were tied to what I used to be. They just fade. Seasons change, people change. And at the same time, many people around me are still living with a lot of urgency and they're chasing, they're worrying, and they're proving. And I'm just not. When you're living at different speeds, the gap becomes obvious. I get around my friends that are still working, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I could see they're still working. What's that song by Mint Condition? Is written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. I see people and I can tell that they're still working because the stress is still eating them up. And they look at me and they say, "You look so peaceful." And I say, "I am peaceful. I'm retired. I'm chilling." But I want to be really clear about something. This phase of my life isn't about rejecting people, it's about curating my time and energy. And I can appreciate someone and I could and still choose less time with them. I have good friends that I moderate the time with. I can care without forcing closeness. I can let relationships be seasonal without turning that into a failure of judgment. It's not withdrawal. And it took me some time to get my head around the idea as I was realigning my boundaries and my circles. It's not withdrawal. It's just discernment. For the first time in my life, I gave myself license to operate with a higher level of discernment in totality as opposed to just a couple of obvious knuckleheads in my cipher. So if you're experiencing something like this after retirement, or even if you're experiencing it as being part of Gen X, being in your 50s or mid 40s to late 50s, I want you to hear this. You're not cold, you're not broken, you're not ungrateful. You might just be more honest with yourself than you've ever been. And that honesty can feel uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly freeing. Now I'm curious. Has retirement changed how you experience people? Not dramatically, but subtly. If this resonated, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. Chances are someone else is going to need to read it. And if you're navigating early retirement or thinking about it, consider subscribing. This channel is about the parts of retirement we usually don't talk about, but probably should. And it's never my expectation that everybody retire early, but it is my expectation that you live your best life. So, on that note, I'm going to cut this one back. Have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.